Well, here I find myself all on my own because Carrie is away doing some business today. But that's okay because this is a very specialized and spectacular show. My former boss, who has gone on to do way better and bigger things than be my boss, has showed up. We're going to talk about AI stuff. We're going to talk about board stuff. We're going to talk about leadership planning, women in business kind of stuff. Debbie Millin is here, and whoosh, we're going places.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Carrie Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
Like I said, Carrie's not in today, so I'm just going to drag out Debbie. Debbie, hello. Welcome on board the show. How are you?
Hello. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on. How are you?
Oh, best day of my life. Would you look at that? There's our friend Chloe from Scotland. We have everybody here ready to go. Debbie, I want to just start right at the beginning. You and I met in business at a wireless telecom where you came in as a project manager and in real short time rushed right up into the executive leadership team to the point that it's fair to say no one could really seem to get anything done if they didn't have you in that room. And you wouldn't be allowed to say that about it, but I could because I watched it. How did that even happen? Like, how do you go from someone who helps guide projects to everyone realizing, holy crap, we really need this person to guide us through this setup?
A little bit of skill and a little bit of luck, I would say. I think, I loved working in that company, as we all know. We had some amazing people come out of there. I think for me, when I get asked to talk about my career a lot, and instead of just saying I worked here, then here, then here, I have these turning points that I usually sort of use to say, here's where I made some unique choices or things happened. And unfortunately, one of them is September 11th, which, as you may recall, we were there at that company at the time. The executive team was all over the place because it was, conference season. And what ended up happening, I sort of ran ops that day. And as you may recall, we had a group called Roamer Plus, which for those who don't understand how telco worked back in the day, if you were outside your area, you hit this roaming platform and you literally got routed to a call center to give your credit card and get charged $2.95 a minute, which seems ludicrous right now. But that's how it worked. And quick story, when the towers fell, everything was routing to Roamer Plus. They came over to grab me to say, I don't know what to do. And after some 2 minutes of analysis, basically you had to kind of shut down the whole country or not. And I said, shut down the country. This is a crisis. And I can still see their faces looking at me going, you're crazy. And I said, I am prepared to get fired. Do it. It's fine. It's fine. That is what we need to do right now. And I got promoted. Which is a terrible story, but sort of
On
is
what
that sort of
planet did you have the guts to do that? Though that's a real ballsy call. That's a revenue depreciating call.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Millions of dollars lost that day. So I'm like, I'm going to get fired. But that to me was the right thing to do. It's like, can you imagine you're running out of that building and you're getting asked for a credit card? If you even could get through it all, of course, that's ridiculous. Shut it down and I'll get fired and it's no big deal. But the other part of that is that I had a boss, a great boss at the time, who kind of saw things in me before I did and said, okay, we're going to make you a VP and you're going to be in charge of these groups. And I remember being in the room with him and saying, okay, that's great. Number one, did you mean AVP? Because that was the next level up. And he said, nope, you're skipping a level. I'm like, okay, great. Next, I don't have any experience running these. I was going to run the network operations center. I was going to run some of the data center stuff. I don't have that technology experience. And I remember him saying, you can learn the skills, you can't learn leadership. You're a leader and you're going to be fine. And I jumped in to sort of teach myself. I think it's really important if you're leading a group to understand as much as you can about what they do. You don't want me coding, but I can lead developers because I understand how that works and how it all ties together. So I think that was another part of it, just making sure that I understand across and just pull all those pieces together.
And you've gone on, you've done so many things. You run upper level solutions. You've done all kinds of other businesses as well in the interim. And you're on so many boards. I just saw a new one I'm going to have to ask you about. I think it was yesterday. So you're all over the place, but where did it come from? You've always been ambitious. And from the minute you showed up, I at least could tell this person really has places to go. But I don't think you can credit ambition. There's got to be something slightly different in the recipe on this.
Interesting. Again, I think some of it's timing, some of it's luck. Thanks for showing my website. That was fun. I think it's a lot of different things. I was saying to you, as we were prepping, I'm living this portfolio life right now. So I like doing a bunch of different things. So I'm not doing one big job. I'm doing many different things, and I really love that variety. So let's talk about my day job for a second. So I am the CEO of Upper Level Solutions. I work with first-time CEO founders of technology companies to help them scale. Often female founders, not exclusively, but that's a lot of what I end up getting in terms of clients. I love supporting women in business and in technology, and I love to scale rapid growth companies. So it's very joyful for me to do that work. Since you and I worked together back in the day, I have led 2 different companies to be the fastest growing in Massachusetts, including Globalization Partners, now known as GP, which became a unicorn. So grew that from 3 people to a $4.2 billion valuation in less than 6 years. They're a global employer of record, so allows companies to hire people in another country without setting up an entity, and really changed the way that the world works, which I am very proud of. So there's a drive sort of on the sort of day job side, and just love that rapid growth. In terms of some of the boards I'm on, as you move up in your career and have some of these accomplishments, you get asked to join company boards, which has been really fun and joyful for me too. They're all technology related, all sort of disruptive kind of industries. I'll talk about 2. One quickly is Neosoma. So they're using AI to analyze brain tumors. They're doing amazing work. It is fascinating to watch how companies like them are helping sort of the government and FDA accelerate. They had to get FDA approval and sort of keep up with this pace of change in technology. Another one, which might be the one you're talking about, you saw yesterday, is the Stellix Group. Love this company. Yes. They are at the intersection of life science, energy, and AI. Like, what an amazing place to be. They also have, if you don't know them, they've rebranded, so it's a new name. They are a company to watch. If you are in Boston and Cambridge and don't know them, you should. If you're in life sciences or energy, you should know them. So great things to come there too. And then the other part is like the nonprofit. I love working and giving back. I've always loved that. I've been on the board of Special Olympics Massachusetts at one point. Now I'm on the board of Museum of Science, board of trustees there, which I absolutely love the work that they're doing and how this all intersects with sort of technology and making the world a better place. So it's kind of the theme.
Quite the theme. By the way, as you were walking through some of these people like Chris Vitalis, who used to work in our
Hi,
UCBI,
Chris.
and Greg Haley.
Hi, Greg. Oh, this is so fun. Old Home Week. Hi, everybody.
Week, yep. So, and that says this is an amazing story of leadership in crisis and doing the right thing. I mean, that seems to have been a theme. When was the first opportunity to get onto a board like that? Because I've been on a lot of boards of advisors. I have not been into the board of directors or trustees. How does that happen? And like, how do you evaluate a good one from a bad one?
Yeah, all networking. Every board I have been asked to join, it's all people that I know. Sometimes it is people, new people that I've just sort of met as I'm sort of going through this ecosystem. Sometimes it's people from 20 years ago who are like, I've been watching your career and I didn't even know this was happening. And, would you like to come on? Because I think you'd be great for this board. I love when boards and companies sort of look to build a board that have people are bringing different things to it. And I think the thing I bring is sort of that global expansion and hiring and teams and how that all works and scale, sort of that operational, how you grow the internal and really help bring companies to the next level. So really every board I have been asked to join is through the network. Networking is incredible. It should be part of your job always.
Well, we'll just keep adding to the colleagues because Elena just showed up.
Hi, Elena. This is so fun. We should have a party.
I guess so. Greg says Debbie always brought organization to the disorganization of different groups working on multiple projects simultaneously, a compass for progress. I mean, that's what I take from my interactions with you is I was never in a meeting where you didn't get people to stop blathering in a meeting, not, just say, chop. We need to get to the real detail here. Where are we going?
I love that you just said chop because I still say that all the time.
Still your thing. Still your thing. Has to be your thing.
It is.
So it's interesting how that goes. But then as you're going through this, like you said, you're not especially a deep technology person. You're a person who's worked with companies who do technology. How are you involved in this AI project? Talk a little bit about that for a second.
Sure. So being in Boston, we have this amazing ecosystem of sort of life science, energy, AI, that's just the world in which we live. So I'm getting pulled into a lot of those kind of things. I wanted to give a shout out. I am part of this group called AI Blueprint for Massachusetts. That is a volunteer group. It's got people from state government, private companies, universities, and it's focused on making Massachusetts a global hub for AI, which we are, but to make sure that we're continuing to do that. They're just doing some wonderful work and really building that ecosystem. So I love being a part of that and sort of, again, just focusing on the city that I love and making it continue to be the hub of all things AI.
Nice. One small technical warning: every time your hands are going down, we're hearing it on your microphone.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We're getting thumped.
I'm Italian, Chris. You know how I am. I'm still.
I can tell this.
I'm sorry.
Satella says, I can still remember Debbie's office next to Jack Dacey's office. So Chris, when are you going to interview Jack?
Yes. Please interview Jack. God, he was fantastic. We always threatened to put like a sliding window in between our offices so we could just talk to each other, like, the ice cream slider window thing. But
that
we just
is
talk
hilarious.
to each other loudly.
That is hilarious. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of characters when you're involved in New England businesses. One of the other things that you've been really focused on a lot, including like your newsletter and LinkedIn and all that, a lot of focusing on women in business and how to keep promoting that. And like you said, Upper Level isn't specifically a company where you work with women in business, but you so happen to work with a lot of women in business. What's different? What do they need to know that's different? What are some of the ways that you kind of help them, women leaders, realize that they can do a lot more, there's more to them and whatnot than just a gender barrier? How do you get through?
A few things. I think one is, that story I just told about, back in the day, sort of holding yourself back because you don't think you're quite ready. And you don't, women, there's all sorts of studies that women tend to say they were not going to apply for a job. If there's 10 criteria and they only meet 8, they won't apply. Whereas a man could have 5 and they'll apply. So some of it is just making sure you're not holding yourself back, sort of taking that leap and stepping into things, because part of it is learning, not just being the expertise. Yes, Elena is like my biggest fan of my blog. I mean that. So in terms of being a women business, that's definitely part of it. And I think you need, again, I think networking is hugely important, and not just networking in women groups. That is also helpful, and I think that's been helpful in my career. Often being the only woman in the room in a lot of different places as I moved up the ranks. So it is nice to have that community, but networking is not just women networking. It is everybody. And that is how I think, women move into the C-suite, how women get on boards. It's just making those connections and, asking, ask for what it is that you are looking for. If you're interested in being on a board, then start talking to people about that. Or if you're, okay, I'm looking for clients now in this area, tell people. The network, people are amazing and very generous with their time, and particularly in the Boston ecosystem, just blows my mind. So I think that's another part as well. Ask for what you want.
Asking for what you want is so important. And like you said about that stat about, I forget where I got mine, but it was something like women could be 94% qualified for something and not apply, and a man could be 11% qualified and apply.
Yes.
So it is just crazy town, just trying to shake people out of those, beliefs or whatever.
Yes.
In the process of doing things like working for the Museum of Science, I imagine you're seeing some crazy stuff, that's coming up. I know that they've really dedicated a couple of new turns in the road over there, including, don't they have like a new space that they're going to have like gatherings or something for science people?
I am so excited about this. It's been in the works for a little while, as you might imagine, but it just got announced. So we are opening the Public Science Common. So it is really a physical and digital transformation of the museum. It's going to be 10,000 square feet, sort of a state-of-the-art space that's going to connect the public to Boston's scientific community and the world. One of my favorite quotes from the president of the museum, Tim Ritchie, who's an amazing human being and leader. When I was looking to get on the board and had a conversation with him, he said, all the major issues of the world are being worked on within 2 miles of this building. That is a hugely powerful statement and very true. And the public science common is really meant to bring the worlds together and have this be a place where we're solving the world's problems. And it will also be just this beautiful, gorgeous space. It will be all windows overlooking the Charles. If you are from the area, you know right now the back of the building is mostly brick. That's all going to be glass, and it's going to be all digital. So you could have one exhibit in the morning, a completely different exhibit in the middle of the day, and then this amazing event at night, and the space is all digital. And I am really excited about this and what it's going to do for the community.
So that just means even more to look at on a duck tour as well. I'm thinking from the other side while I'm in the Charles.
That's right. And for a while you'll be looking at some construction, but yes, it is underway. The barge is going in.
Pardon our dust, they'll say.
Exactly.
Debbie, through the process, there's probably things that you've learned that are your strengths in doing what you do. There's probably things that you've learned, man, I really shouldn't do any of that, even if I want to take it on or I feel dutiful to take it on. What are the things that you kind of cast aside, and where are the things that you just excel and you know that if you put me in this capacity, I'm going to save the world, versus if you put me in and do this, you're going to be sorely disappointed?
Yes, by the way, shout out to AI for generating the image for the intro to the show. I love being Wonder Woman. Thank you. So strengths and weaknesses kind of thing. So the older I get, I think the better I know myself and what I'm good at. Over time, I have had, as the COO of a unicorn company, got to do a little bit of everything. I really did do everything. I think I'm good at fixing. I'm good at fixing and building. If something was broken, it came under my domain, we fixed it, and then we moved on to the next thing. And that is really everything from, obviously operations and technology and project management is sort of the core, but I've also had marketing and finance, like everything, which I really enjoy and I think makes me be a better leader, understanding how all of those pieces fit together. But you don't want me coding. You don't want me, you want me looking at the financial statements, not building them. Sure. That sort of thing. So, I think, there's certain areas that I excel at, but also the types of companies. So for instance, I'll use GP as the example because it's just the best example I have, loved building that literally from 3 people to this amazing company. And as we were doing a fundraising round in 2022, decided that was the perfect time for me to step up because I love the build. And it's different after you sort of take on that kind of funding. And, that's great. I knew someone else was going to do better at that than I would. It's like letting your kid, I always call GP my third child. It's like letting your kid go, off into the world and grow in a different way. I think good leaders know when it's time to sort of move on to something else. And because of, what you're good at, I really am good at that startup, sort of specialize in that 5 million to 500 million range, which I know is still a big range, but when you're dealing with billions, then that's...
But they're different, all those different sizes. There's 10 to 100 is big, 100 to 200 is big, and then et cetera. Is there one you like more than another, or like where's the exciting versus it's starting to feel corporate around here?
That whole segment, really 5 to 500 is, I love the sweet spot of that whole thing, because it's usually I'm working with companies that are getting ready to transform in some way. And that's really the theme. It's not so much the revenue as much as the theme of getting ready to really make a leap and have that foundation under you to be able to scale. That's what I love.
Dawned on me that I didn't do my only job, but Carrie wasn't here, so leave it to a fellow to make a mistake. But hey, we're sponsored. Yep, there you go, StreamYard. Thank you, StreamYard. All right, done, handled. Kind of. Don't watch this and hate me or something. In the process of doing what you do, when do you ever know this is not going to work? Like, we're not going to be pals. Have you ever had to have a bad breakup, so to speak, in the businessville?
They're all pretty good, actually, I would say. I would talk more about, as building a company, protecting your culture and sort of understanding what culture you want is really important. And I think we've had to let go of some people who maybe didn't fit that culture. It's more that kind of having a no jerks policy. And as you get bigger, sometimes they can sneak in. So I think that's certainly part of it. And the other is, sometimes, there are people who are so great at a 30-person company and that's their sweet spot, but not at 300. So I think as you're growing a company, you just need to sort of watch for when people are getting a little over their skis, or, a lot of people will self-select. They want to do that broad sort of early stage utility player, and that's what they love. And then sometimes you have to sort of help them see that it's you celebrate what they've done, and it's time to move on. But I'd like to think most of, if not all of my having people move on have been good, and I'm still friends with so many people that I've worked with, including so many people on this call. Hello, everybody again.
I know, how crazy. Like, it's just old home days. We might as well start doing prepaid wireless.
We could.
Debbie, you speak professionally as well, and people drag you into spots like that. What kinds of topics are you covering these days? What's exciting?
Yeah, I get asked a lot to do sort of like my career. So a little bit of, women in business, how did it, get through these different, how have I grown? Someone asked me to come up with a title. I came up with The Road Less Traveled, because I've made some very unique decisions and have done things like that, when I, even from an early age, that a girl was not supposed to be doing. And I just sort of went ahead and did those because I'm me, very scrappy and feisty. I also talk a lot about, building a unicorn and some of the lessons that I've learned. I talk, to startups a lot about that, just in terms of people, process, technology, and how you sort of look at all of those things as you're growing. And, just do a lot of, I like to do mentoring with, I'm doing some things with Bentley. They have an entrepreneur group that they're starting. So I'm going to be speaking to them. A little bit of everything. I'm doing a workshop for CEOs, about 100 CEOs, and a little bit about using operations, sort of help how you use ops and process to scale your company. A little bit of everything.
That's how speaking works anyway, right? Like, you can't,
It is.
Just set on one topic, otherwise you're doomed. So,
yeah, right.
When we have a bunch of chit chat going on, I get to pull out this opportunity.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
I'm going to look through the people here. I get to select one. I'll make Elena our person of the day. What that does is, Elena, you're entitled to one free apple. You just go into any store, steal the apple, run out fast, and eat it. You don't probably even have to wash it if you don't want. You'll be perfectly fine. Your person of the day. And then the one question I ask every person who's ever been on this show is, what goes in your backpack? This could be something metaphorical, like hope for the future. It could be something physical. One of our people said they wanted to put an avocado in there because you can eat the avocado, and then the seed makes for a not bad toy if you've got nothing else to work with.
Interesting.
Debbie, what should you add to the backpack?
I will say a physical thing and a not so physical thing. The physical thing is my laptop. Live off it, take it with me everywhere. But the not physical thing, I think, would be happiness. Like, I've learned over time, do things that make you happy. Always have joy in your backpack.
Also, down in your heart, I think, is another place to have the joy.
Yes.
So Elena wins. Winner, chicken dinner.
Chicken dinner.
Chloe says this is an inspiring show. Thanks, Debbie. I loved hearing all those turning point decisions. It makes me want to take more risks and develop my own leadership skills. Chloe's an incredible. She went from being a website designer. Now she's building Notion platforms for people. So I don't know if any of your little startups aren't really ready to go to the big tools yet. She's quite the Notion and Notion AI pro. So
duly noted.
You can always grab some talent there. Well, the one thing I was thinking about as far as women getting things done and leading it is that even though she didn't have any formal education whatsoever, my Grammy was really good at getting things done. She had one secret, and it involved these two fingers, and it was basically